President of Best Energy Choices. Okay, we got the recording going on. And whoops, sorry about that. So I've been an independent energy broker for 15 years. I specialize in green energy and green energy technologies. And for the last year and a half, I've been working primarily with community solar just because it's such a great opportunity in the renewable energy field, and it provides excellent value to the customer. So I've also been on the environmental and health food bandwagon for a long time. I started my first health food store back in the late 70s out in Ottawa, Illinois. And then I moved to Chicago in the 80s, and my wife and I opened a store called Healing Earth Resources. We ran that for 20 years, and that included the Mother Earth Cafe. It was Chicago's first organic cafe and juice bar. And then around 2000, thanks to Amazon and Whole Foods and the internet, that was the end of our run. So I shifted gears and went into energy and green energy, and that's how I got here today. So if Jerry, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about this and why this is important to Prairie Food.
Oh, got to unmute myself. Yeah, well, this is important to us because, you know, basically we share the values of this program. It aligns very well with our cooperative value number 7, concern for community, and our focus on environmental sustainability. When we open, we actually hope that we can provide solar for our store, if not all, some of our energy needs. And, you know, honestly, this is just something that even before we were approached about doing this, I was thinking this to myself, like I heard about this program, and honestly, it's just in my interest and in all of our interest to get people on solar, on alternative energy. So honestly, this is just a perfect match for us. Also, it's a community-oriented and collaborative approach to a major environmental issue. It helps our owners, customers, and communities save money. I really like that too. And it complements our history of sustainable programs. We've done a lot of workshops such as composting, reducing waste, gardening, you know, raw foods, so many like programs that revolved around lessening our carbon footprint. And our store will be a model of that. And also, you know, I think this is important for everybody to know. My wife and I have joined this program. Our house, you know, it's a pretty big house, and we have a big old oak tree right in front of our front yard that covers half our house. And we've got estimates done as far as, you know, the solar panels we need to, you know, realistically power our home, and the cost for the solar panels, but plus we just wouldn't be able to have enough to realistically for the investment it would take. So we're doing this ourselves, and it feels good to know that, you know, a lot of our energy is coming from a renewable resource like this. And I think this is a great idea. So at that, I'll pass it back to Michael.
All right. So community solar farms, this is really the dawning of a new age in renewable energy. And it's I believe it's the future of green, affordable energy for everyone, as you'll see as we go through the slides here. So the first thing we want to take a look at is rooftop compared to community solar. So as Jerry just said, he explored rooftop. It wasn't right for his situation. And actually, there's only about 10% of the houses in Illinois that even qualify due to shading issues, zoning issues, rooftop issues. But rooftop solar is just what it says. You're putting rooftop solar panels on your roof. There's always a significant financial investment up front. There's a lot of incentives right now, state and federal incentives, but it's still, most people end up financing a fairly sizable amount of money to put those on their roof. And once the panels are up, you have to deal with cleaning, maintenance, and repair. And the savings, your in-pocket savings are delayed until the financing's actually paid off. So it could be 8 to 10 years before you're actually going to see your electric bill drop out because of those panels on your roof. And then, like I already said, it's not feasible for apartments, condo buildings, and most homes. So if we take a look at community solar, what happens here, as opposed to rooftop, is you would subscribe for free to a share of a utility scale solar installation. And that is simply a large array of solar panels that are built in rural areas across Illinois. Most of them are in northern Illinois. And because those panels then connect directly into the energy grid. And so that eliminates the need for any solar panels or equipment on your roof or property. And there's nothing to buy, there's no cost, there's no fees. You get immediate guaranteed savings, and it's available to all Illinois residents, whether you rent or whether you own. All right. And can everybody hear me? You can hear me, Jerry? Okay. And so community solar farms in Illinois. Let's take a look at how we got to this position of actually being able to have community solar. There's been a fair amount of resistance from the energy community to solar in general, but community solar farms in Illinois are possible thanks to the Future Energy Jobs Act, FEJA, in 2017, and then the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, CEJA, in 2021, which actually ramped up FEJA. So both of these acts provide funding for renewable energy, energy efficiency, and clean energy jobs in the state of Illinois. And they also mandate that 25% of ComEd's and Ameren's power come from renewable sources such as wind and solar. And that's supposed to be met by 2025. And then the goal is to hit 40% by 2040. And Ameren is the downstate ComEd. So ComEd services Northern Illinois, and Ameren services the rest of the state. The community solar farm programs are really monitored by the Illinois Shines program. And that's a state administrated incentive program that supports the development of new solar energy throughout the state. And they regulate all the solar farm programs. They actually they send you full disclosures when you sign your agreement with the solar farm that make sure that everything's above board and that you know exactly what you're getting into. And then lastly, ComEd is also on board in Northern Illinois, Ameren in Southern Illinois, and they're actively promoting community solar on their website. You could go there, type in community solar, and they've got whole sections about community solar. They also provide billing support for community solar farms. And there's also some partial funding from our electric bills. Everybody, if you go under taxes and fees, you'll see a line item for renewable, the renewable portfolio. So there's a little money every month out of your bill that goes towards bringing renewables into the fold in Illinois. All right. So let's take a quick look at the benefits of community solar. The first is obviously we're creating new solar installations in the state, which is helping to green the electric grid. And that also helps improve the reliability of the grid since we have more sources of electricity coming in to the grid itself. It also lessens the need for new conventional power plants. We're in a situation in Illinois and actually around the country that most of the existing power plants are reaching the end of their scheduled lifespan, and some have actually exceeded that at this point. So there's a big question moving forward. Are we going to continue to build new nuclear plants? Where is our energy going to come from? So the more solar power that we can get online, the less we're going to have to worry about bringing new nuclear plants into the fold. Obviously, solar reduces carbon emissions because we're reducing fossil fuel usage. Also, it reduces nuclear waste. So right now, you're connected to ComEd. ComEd in Northern Illinois, most of our energy comes from nuclear. And nuclear waste isn't something most of us think about, but it's a huge problem on the planet. There's millions of tons of waste that they don't know what to do with, sitting in decaying barrels on open sites. And we still have Fukushima that's in a state of meltdown over in Japan. So they like to build nuclear as the clean energy, but in reality, it's the nuclear thing is really tough to deal with. And so the less we can create of the waste, the better off we're going to be. The other good thing about community solar is that it stimulates local economies and also creates jobs in the areas that the farms are built. And the nice thing for you is that it saves you money. You get guaranteed savings on the cost of your electric supply. And I'll go into that a little more in detail in just a few minutes here. And it also helps the Prairie Food Co-op. And for every enrollment, there's a $60 donation that goes to Prairie Food. And that is per account. So if you had more than one account, each account that gets enrolled generates a separate donation to Prairie Food. And then the way that works is the donations are actually coming from me. So I've got contracts with 4 or 5 different solar farms. They pay me to bring on customers for them, which has no effect on your contract or no cost, since there is no cost to you. And then I pay the donation back to Prairie Food to help support them getting their store open. So, all right, so let's look at the basics of community solar in Illinois. So as we already touched on, it's available to any utility customer in ComEd and Ameren. That's a great thing because, like we touched on before, most people can't qualify for rooftop solar. You get to subscribe for free, so there's no cost to sign up. Once you do sign up, you're allocated a share of the community solar farm, and that share size is based on your last 12 months of electrical usage. So what they do is they look at your last 12 months of usage, and then they assign X number of solar panels as your share that will generate about the same amount of electricity as you used in the last 12 months. And then moving forward, if there's a big deviation from the amount of electricity that you use, you can call the solar farm company and ask them to adjust your share size so it's more in line with your usage. But for most people, it doesn't change a lot year to year, unless you're adding an electric car or doing something really big. Usage pretty much remains in a fairly tight window. So once you're on and connected, then the electricity that your share generates, you get to purchase that at either a 10 or 20% savings. And that's guaranteed for 15 to 20 years. So that all depends on the farm that you're placed with and the amount of usage that you have. So the lower usage you have, more likely you'll be on a 10% farm, higher usage you'll be on a 20% farm. But when you send me your electric bill, I can look at all that stuff. I figure out which is the best fit for you. So there's nothing to buy, there's no cost, there's no fees. The other thing you're paying for is the discounted cost of electricity, and that's discounted off the ComEd rate. So whatever ComEd's rate is, your discount comes off of that. It can never go above the ComEd rate. So the nice thing about this is that even though you have to sign an agreement, you are locking in, basically you're locking the solar farm company into the agreement that they're guaranteeing you discounts for 15 and 20 years. But your side of the agreement, you can cancel at any time for any reason with no cancellation fee. So for some reason, if you decide to get out, you don't want the discounts anymore, then you can get out. It's a real easy thing to do. The other good thing here is you don't have to change your utility. So you will continue to remain with ComEd. There are sometimes people get electricity from a third-party supplier. In the retail market, 99% of the time, it's usually a huge ripoff. The prices start a little bit cheaper than ComEd, and then within 3 to 4 months, the rates start to go up. You don't pay attention to your bill, and you can go months and years before you realize that you're paying more than the ComEd rate. So here you're staying with ComEd. The rates are always discounted off the ComEd rate. And the last thing we have is that if you decide to move, that your subscription can go with you almost anywhere in Illinois. So if you move to a new house, new apartment, the contract in most cases can go with you. So let's take a look at how this actually all works. So we see here that we have a community solar farm. It'd actually be a lot bigger than that, but for the sake of this drawing, the solar farm feeds its energy directly into the existing energy grid. So then you, as the house, continue to get your electricity just as you do right now from the electric grid. And all the energy credits that are generated by the solar farm are basically paper transactions. So what would happen is every month ComEd goes out, they read the meters at the solar farm, they determine how much your share is produced, and then they subtract that from your electric bill. And then you get the discount off whatever the amount was that the share produced. And I'll show you in a second just how that looks on the bill. So the other plus here too is that if something were ever to happen to the solar farm, it doesn't affect you getting electricity because you're tapped into the main grid. So the whole grid would have to go down for you to be out of electricity. There actually have to be a power outage. The solar farm going down would just mean that solar energy isn't going in the grid, but all the other electricity would still be there. So you're prevented from anything from that side of things. All right, so let's take a look now at how this shows up. Where? I got happy fingers here. How this is going to look on your bill. So this first slide or the first bill here is what your ComEd bill looks like now. There's 3 parts on the bill: the supply, delivery, and taxes and fees. So supply is the actual cost of your electricity, and that's where the discount takes place. Delivery is what ComEd charges to get electricity through the wires. And actually, that's the only way they make money. The energy in Illinois was deregulated about 15 years ago. And so ComEd is no longer allowed to make money on the sale of electricity, just on the delivery. So that's why they're in favor of the community solar. They don't care who puts electricity through the wires because they get paid no matter where it comes from. And then taxes and fees, obviously government, and there's not anything that we can do about that. So once we're connected to, or you're connected to the solar farm, like I said, ComEd goes out, reads your meter, determines how much your share produced. In the case of this example, your share produced $70 worth of electricity for the month. So this shows up under supply as a separate line item that says renewable community supply credit, and they subtract that amount from your bill. And so what that leaves you is the balance will be due to ComEd. And the reason it's subtracted from the bill is because it's going to, you're paying for that at a different rate. So then you still have to pay for that $70 worth of electricity. And then it depends on the solar farm. Some farms you pay a separate bill, other farms it's all built in, but basically that $70 then gets discounted, takes off the 10 or 20%, and you only pay the balance of that after the discount. And it's real clean and easy. So the ones that do Clearway is a good example. They do the 20% discount. They do have separate billing, but you have all the same billing options as you do with ComEd. You get a separate, you get a login online account with Clearway, and you can go in there and see your solar farm activity, how much it's producing, the environmental benefits, and how much your savings are. And you've got all the same billing options also. So I think at this point is probably a good place to stop and take questions. And so if anybody wants to unmute themselves and go ahead and ask some questions, that'd be great.
I have some questions. I mean, I have a lot of questions. I had solar panels on my last house, and I got them put on in 2017, but then we moved in 2020. But I was really happy with the solar panels, and my bill was actually zero much of the time. But of course, like you said, at that rate, it was going to take about 7 years for me for those savings to add up to what I paid for the panels. So now I'm in a different house, only several blocks away, and I want to put the panels on, but for one thing, I get these letters from power companies, and I think you've referred to them, who want to give me totally renewable energy. And I don't trust it. I don't trust them. And I called Cub last week about one of these letters I got, and they said, probably don't do it. So could you tell me again how solar farms differ from these companies that are trying to get me to change from
Sure.
ComEd to them?
Sure. So the way they're different, those are referred to as an alternative retail energy supplier or a third-party supplier. And the ones that are offering you green energy, basically they're buying the energy from, it's usually out-of-state wind farms or out-of-state solar farms, and they're
Oh.
using renewable energy credits. So it's kind of the same way, but the big difference is they always charge a premium. So you're going to pay 10 to 15, sometimes 20% more than the ComEd rate to have green energy.
I
And
see.
to me, one of the most exciting things about the community solar program is that it's being sold at a discount. So here you're direct to the solar farm company. There's no third party middleman, and the rate's tied to the ComEd rate, and it's guaranteed to always be discounted from the ComEd rate.
Uh-huh. Thank you. How do they determine how much energy my particular solar panels in the farm have produced?
So the solar farm panel, your share of the solar farm is going to be based on your last 12 months of usage. And then once that share size is determined, let's say it's 5 solar panels, when ComEd goes out and reads the meters at the solar farm every month, they figure out what your 5 panels produced. And that's the amount of credit that you're going to get on your bill for that month.
Oh, so it's like a percentage of everything that the solar farm puts out.
Right. So there's one
Based on
huge
how
solar
many-
farm, you get a percentage of that. That's called your share.
I see.
And that share is matched to produce about the same amount of electricity as your house uses.
I see.
And then any
Oh.
difference, ComEd makes up the difference. Then you just would pay the regular ComEd price, but usually it falls, usually 90, 95% of your electricity is going to come from the farm.
And then one more question. I was told that because the law requires Illinois and ComEd to put out so much energy produced by renewables every year, that my share from the solar panels I had, that the state took part of that, or no, the state got credit for the solar energy I was producing. Is
That really depends on how you bought your panels.
Oh,
So you should got all it. If you bought the panels outright, even if you
Yeah.
financed them, you should have gotten all the tax advantages of that. If you
I
went
did.
into a lease situation, a lot of times the leasing, all the tax benefits goes to the leasing company. But yeah, most of those tax benefits are coming back to the consumer or the person running the solar farm. That is the way it usually works in my experience.
okay. So when we subscribe to the solar farm, we won't be getting any of those advantages that.
No, that's built into the 20% discount. So the solar farm, they're
Oh,
producing the electricity, they're taking advantage of the tax. That's how they're making it a working business model. Is then the reason that they can offer it at such a discount.
I see. And are we helping the state and ComEd reach that goal?
Yes. So all this counts towards that 25% mandate and the 40% mandate. So there'll be, this is like the first round of solar farms that have just come online, and there's a lot more in the progress or in the pipeline to be built to be coming online towards the end of the year. So this is just going to continue to grow. Illinois got a commitment. They want to be 100% renewable. That's a long ways off. And so, but right now this we're in the starting phases of it. And where people that get on board are showing market acceptance, and it creates momentum and brings in more investors and keeps the whole thing moving.
That's exciting. Thank you.
It is. Is that it, Carol?
Well, now I want to give other people a chance.
Okay. Real quick, let me just, Jerry Garris had a question here. How is billing handled? Will there be a ComEd bill with a credit for clean energy and a separate bill from Best Energy Choices? So Best Energy Choices, that's just the name of my company. I'm an independent energy broker. And so I've got nothing to do with billing. And the only thing I do is I bring customers to the solar farms. And like I said, I've got 4 different solar farms that I work with. And so all the billing takes place from the solar farms to you. And then I think I already talked about the energy credit showing up on the ComEd bill. So if you've got additional questions on that, you can type that in, Jerry or Jeffrey, sorry.
Yeah, this is Jeff. Yeah, I do have a follow-up question. So is Clearway one of the 4 solar farms that you're working with?
Yes.
And so people will be getting bills directly from Clearway. And will those bills be consolidated down the road instead of coming separately? Because I've heard that some people don't like getting a separate bill from ComEd. I mean, ComEd plus a separate bill. And
Yeah,
I thought
you know,
there was
there's,
an effort to combine them.
Yeah, there's talk about that they're working on the combining part of it. It goes both ways. Some people like it, some people don't. Personally, it just, you've got a little more control of your accounts by having the separate billing, but some people it's a bigger hassle. So yes, Clearway does have dual billing for the time being. And then the company, it's usually the companies with the lower discounts that do the single bill. And it just, from what I've seen on those, it's a little more work to figure out where everything's going. So it's a little bit of extra work to pay the extra bill, but when you get the single bill, now you have to go back to your ComEd account if you want to keep real good track of it and make sure that all the numbers are right and they build you correctly for ComEd. And so there's a little extra effort either way, which really doesn't amount to much, you know.
Okay, great.
10 minutes a month tops.
One final question, that is, are these farms up and operating now? So if I were to sign a contract, I would immediately see the benefits of going green?
Yeah, there are farms up and operating right now. Most of those are full. So anybody that signs up right now, you're probably looking at a 2 to 3 month wait before you actually get a live connection to a solar farm. And then so they're in the final stages of construction and approval by ComEd. So what you're doing now is just locking up your position on the solar farm so that you're first in line to be activated once it comes live. And that also there's a number of farms that have capacity left and starting to fill up. And so once that's full, then it's probably going to be the end of the year before people are going to get a live activation. But the reality of that is you're not putting any money out. You're not spending anything. You're just basically signing up. You're waiting for a discount. And you're guaranteeing your spot in line to make that happen by going ahead and enrolling now.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question. I live in a condo and I was on a clean energy program, Clean Choice, for quite a while.
Yep.
Then I moved to a program that was supported by my suburb, which is Darien. Now that's canceled for some reason. I'm not getting a clear answer from my alderwoman, but my question is, on my bill at the time, it said that 75% of my clean energy was from wind. How much overall energy in our area of Northern Illinois, let's say, is wind versus solar, and how does that affect your work?
It doesn't affect this program at all. So this is all community solar based. There are wind farms in Illinois, but that's not what we're talking about here. So everything that happens here is from a community solar farm that's located in Illinois. So is it Clean Choice? They're predominantly wind. They give you sometimes options of so much wind, so much solar, and the prices differ based on what you pick. And most of all, those supplies come from out-of-state farms, wind farms and solar farms. So you're not supporting local economies, you're not supporting our tax base. And you're also, you're paying at least a 10% premium, if not 15% premium over the ComEd rate with the Clean Choice program. With your, you said the city you're in now had a program that's not.
Yeah, we were only on it briefly. I don't recall the name of it, but it was, I don't know, they just canceled it for some
Yeah, so
reason.
sometimes cities and small towns will go into an aggregation program. So a third-party supplier will come in and they'll give them a rate that's cheaper than ComEd if then the whole town has the option to sign up.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's green, usually it's not. And when those programs get dropped, it's usually they can't come in with a competitive rate anymore. And the way the energy markets were for this last year and a half, right now, everything's upside down. ComEd's got the best rate out there as far as residential and most commercial for third-party rates. So it was just a chance that they couldn't get a good rate from the aggregation program anymore. And so they canceled it, went back to ComEd.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question if there isn't another.
Hi, Carol.
Hi again. Yeah, first, what kind of people are building these farms? Are these people already in the energy industry or? I mean,
Yeah, they're mostly independent. There's not any real big energy players that have gone into the market yet. Clearway is one of the largest in the community solar field. They're in 5 or 6 different states. They've got the most solar farms in the state of Illinois. They've also got the best discount. They do have some minimums on usage to get on their farms. So that's why sometimes lower usage, I have to go to a different farm, but usually Clearway is the one I like to place people with first.
is
But
it,
yeah, and it just, there aren't really any big energy players that have infiltrated the market yet.
it's so interesting. And is it likely that as our big power plants reach the end of their usefulness, that these solar farms will be the only contributors to the energy grid?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of all up in the air. I think it's not going to happen immediately. I think there's going to be a lot of technological changes that we've not even seen yet that are coming into play. And I think it's, to me, to have a reliable grid, it's going to have to be a combination of a lot of things, even if there's still some nuclear in the mix. So until the technology gets a little bit better, to be totally dependent on wind and solar, it's tough because it's variable on the production you can get from that. But like I said, that's an ever-changing landscape, new technologies and new ways things are going to happen. And we're kind of going through a whole grid overhaul now as we speak, which is long overdue. So things are going to be a lot different in 10 years than they are right now, but it is all moving towards renewable.
That's what I like, is I want to know that I'm contributing to the change from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And I would be doing that, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thanks.
All right. So I see Julie Hodson had a question up. This all sounds great, and I'm not hearing any downsides. Is there a catch? I can't talk about the catches in public. I'm just kidding. One of the problems is that it does sound too good to be true, but there really is no catch. I mean, there's no cost, there's no equipment on your roof, and you can cancel anytime. and the discounts are guaranteed. So there's, that's what makes it such a great program. And it's also good for the environment. So like I said, I've been doing energy for 15 years. This is the best program I've seen in 15 years, and especially at a residential level. The 20% discount, I have a hard time getting that rate for customers that are spending $5,000 a month on electricity.
Oh,
And so it's just, it's pretty incredible that it's happening. That's why I'm so excited about it. Other questions?
Hi, I'm Jack Campbell.
Hey, Jack.
How much of your work is being done prevailing wage or union?
Well, there's a good question. To be honest, I don't have an answer for you on that one. I could find out. But I don't know off the top of my head. And it could be different for each farm. I would think since there's a lot of electricity involved, I would think that would be mostly union work. But again, I'd have to do some research. I'd have to make a couple of phone calls and find out for you.
Yeah, it's very important to our community, you know, that this is creating good paying jobs, not, you know, fly by night McJobs that are gonna.
Right, well, that's
harm
part
our
of the,
community.
those, the two acts, the CJ and the FEJ acts were to create jobs in the green industry. So they're all gonna be good paying jobs and hopefully union. But that
Very
was,
nice.
that was part of the funding, and that was part of the reason that all that came into play.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
do you
I see your
ever,
Question about signing up, Courtney. I will touch on that just as soon as I answer all questions here, and then we'll take just a couple of minutes and we'll be finished up here.
I have another one.
Okay?
But do you ever do tours of a solar farm?
I don't know if they do or not.
Okay.
Once they're, yeah, you'd have to contact the companies directly. I mean, you can drive by, I could find you locations, you could drive by and see them. It just, you're gonna see solar panels in a field.
Yeah. Thanks. Mhm.
Okay. Other questions? All right, the chat's empty. No more questions. Okay, let me finish up here. So just in summary, taking part in this Prairie Food Greening the Grid fundraiser, you're part of creating a green energy future for Illinois and moving renewables forward for the country. You get to subscribe for free to the community solar farm. Prairie Food gets a donation. You get 10 to 20% savings guaranteed on your electricity. No solar panels on your roof, no cost, nothing to buy, no fees. 10 to 20% guaranteed savings. Houses, condos, and apartments all qualify, and actually small businesses can qualify also. You remain a ComEd customer, and you can cancel anytime, and there's no cancellation fee. And the last one, there are no catches. So it's just a great deal. So if you're interested in signing up, or if you just need to have more questions answered, everything's pretty simple. Takes about 20 minutes. The first thing you would do is go to the link here for the Prairie Food website, and there's a contact form to fill out. You put your name and contact information in there, and then I will get back to you. You'll need to provide me with a copy of your most recent electric bill, just so I can determine what farm is best for you and check your usage and your class schedule or your rate schedules. And then once we've done that, we need only about 20 minutes on the phone, and I can answer any more questions you have and help you complete your solar agreement. And that's all there is to it. So again, if you have just questions and want to talk some more, you can contact me at the email here and the phone number, or go to the contact form and fill in your information there, and we'll get the ball moving.
Michael, there's another question from
Sure.
Jeff Harris.
Oh, I
Is there-
see the chats. Okay.
Yeah, is there a minimum amount of electricity one can sign up for?
It is probably 1,000 kilowatt hours per year is the minimum.
How many, how many was that? 1,000?
Yeah,
Okay, I asked because I have solar panels on the house that cover 3/4 of my needs, and I've yet to find a community solar company willing to work with me because I
all
don't
right.
need
So
that much.
yeah, I could take a look at your bill and see what, how much energy you're still getting from ComEd. We can figure it out from there if it'll work or not.
Okay. Sounds good, thanks. Oh,
Yep.
somebody, Jack has his hand up.
Oh, no, I don't know how to take it down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Thanks for the presentation. It was good.
Yes, very, very good and interesting.
Great.
Okay, well, I'm going to thank Michael. And yes, you can find all this information on our website. We have it connected to the event now, but I'll make it more permanent, at least for the next few months. And as Michael said, Prairie Food Co-op will get $60 for every sign up. Dill Pickle did this program, the Dill Pickle Co-op in Chicago, and they raised a few $1,000s. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Actually, we've raised over $8,500 there already.
Wow.
So yeah,
I-
it's been going on quite a while. The response has been really good. So
Great. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind everybody here who may not be an owner to consider Prairie Food Co-op ownership if you like what we stand for and our environmental stewardship. Please consider ownership. It's just a one-time $200 buy-in. And otherwise, I thank everybody for coming tonight. And thank you again, Michael.
sure. And one more thing on the ownership, Jerry. So this program is open to everybody, whether you're an owner or not. And if non-owners sign up, there'll still be a donation to Prairie Foods.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right.
Okay. Thanks all. Have a good evening.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.